Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to another StarCraft 2 Best of 3 series. What I got for you today is a professional top-of-the-line Protoss versus Zerg. Spawning here in game number 1 on Neon Violet Square and playing with the red Protoss probes, we are currently looking in the main base of Hero, one of the greatest Protoss players in StarCraft 2, and his opponent spawning in the opposite corner. He's playing with the blue Zerg drones. He's the current world champion of StarCraft 2. Of course, I am talking about Rogue. Now, Rogue is actually already sending out a drone very early on into this match out onto the map right now. There is also this scouting probe that's currently coming in, but apparently this one is not quite meant as a scouting drone. I was gonna say, who the heck scouts with drones at this level of play? It's not very common at all. It does look like Rogue decided to go for the gold base as his very first expansion. It's one of the things that I really like about Rogue. He's not afraid to mix it up, and usually, right, the Protoss player that we're talking about in this particular match, Hero, he's very well known for his macro-focused style. Hero is probably as standard as a standard Protoss player goes. He's very good at getting away with minimal amounts of units in the early game and then macroing up a massive army just by having superior micro over many of the other Protoss players out there. I mean, he's definitely one of the very best. Now, I like this because usually, right, Neon Violet Square, it's one of those maps that really favors a macro-focused player. I mean, this is one of the maps where you can take a main base, a natural, a third base, a fourth base, a fifth base, a sixth base, sometimes even a seventh base rather easily. Compared to, for example, something like Blackpink. I mean, a lot of Protoss players, you know, they only need 4 bases, right? But Zerg usually are looking to take a little bit more. They have a hard time securing 4 or 5 bases on a map like, for example, Blackpink. And this is definitely going to change up the dynamic of a Neon Violet Square just a little bit, because Zerg is going to have a booming economy right from the get-go. Now, in the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, we see Hero taking that very quick Nexus after the gateway. Let us see if he's decided to delay warp gates. It looks like that is going to be the case. So I'm assuming we will be seeing a Stargate here inside of that main base as soon as Protoss reaches 150 gas. And indeed, Hero does go for that Chrono Boosted Adept and then also the Stargate follow-up. Now, even though this economy for Rogue can be booming right from the get-go, right? He is forced to make quite a lot of Zerg links. Actually, that's already 6 links here in total. Link speed is not going to be done for another little while. Rogue will be able to finish up a queen here at his newly acquired base, but this does mean that he's going to be in a world of hurt once these adepts start roaming the map. And actually, I have to say, I really like this positioning already by Hero. Just simply trying to bruise up a couple of those links. He knows very well that this is going to be a difficult base to defend if you are the Zerg player. Just simply shading around right now, waiting for that second adept to arrive as well. And even a third one will be coming out of that gateway here in just a little bit. Great micro so far actually by our Protoss player. Rather than going after the drones, he decided to go after the Zerglings just because this is a really tricky base to defend. There we go, a single drone will end up dying almost immediately. Great shade away here as well. We'll be able to get rid of these adepts just barely in the nick of time. Oracle now, of course, also gonna be chrono boosted out here for Hero. He wants to try and see if he can deal some damage with those as well. A lot of links actually have already fallen though, right? Look at that. Solid control here by our Protoss player. And now, with that Oracle joining the party as well, I really feel like the amount of links that has gone down really will make this difficult for Rogue to hold on to this base. Now, he does have the full saturation here on minerals, and there's no denying that worker-wise, Rogue is still a little ahead. He still decided to take the third base right here at the natural expansion as well, but still, he's gonna be up against quite a lot of Protoss units. Now, link speed, of course, did just finish up. Apparently, the Oracle has decided that it's not gonna activate its ability just yet, and instead, it's just simply flying around, trying to provide some support for these adepts, which will eventually end up falling. Stasis Ward now being produced inside of that main base, of course. Rogue is not gonna get his entire mineral line in stasis like I probably would have had in that scenario. Only a single drone will end up losing some of that mining time. A third base now actually also being taken here by Hero. This one actually, I'm pretty sure that one is actually misplaced. Right? Am I crazy? Pretty sure this has to be like 1 hex over, although this is usually a base that you take primarily for the gas income because it's only got 4 mineral patches. Then again, it is a really easy expansion to defend here. Quite like this decision here from Hero actually, as he is now moving across the map with a couple of these oracles. Nicely done so far. 6 workers in total is definitely not a bad trade for 2 adepts whatsoever. And so far, I mean, even though the economy is definitely in favor here of the Zerg, he's done a great job to simply picking off more and more of those units, and then also keeping his very important oracles alive. Hero now making that transition as well towards the double robotics facility. We see the forge just about to finish up in the main base. But I do like this position that Rogue is in right now though. I mean, he's got a very solid amount of economy. He still has himself 50 workers here, and one of those of course is going to be, or you know, I guess 15 or so of those are going to be located at the gold base. Plus he's now going to be able to start spreading creep from a very powerful position too. This is a difficult area to push into if you are a Protoss player, and Hero, I mean, he has to try and secure this 4th here in just a little bit. How exactly are you gonna try and pull this off? Now, 2 immortals are coming out here at any given moment. I wonder if Hero is gonna try and maybe go for like 1 big timing push off of 3 bases. It's gonna be so predictable, right? I mean, Protoss is gonna basically need a 4th base here, because I feel like whatever it is that Hero can make off of 3 bases, Rogue is gonna be able to defend against it. Right, he's already started up a lot of roaches now. We see the +1 missile upgrade coming up here as well. Oracle once again headed into that main base. This time around it will put a couple more drones into stasis. And actually we see now the Oracle here near the natural expansion. I guess we can call this the natural right now for Rogue. Still trying to see if it can deal some damage as well. But I think it found out that it did not have quite that 50 energy you need to try and go for that stasis ward. Fort base now also acquired here by Hero, and indeed it does look like he wants to go ahead and play this macro-focused style. Now so far, right, that single Phoenix actually has become a bit of a nuisance. It's picked up 3 worker or 3 overlord kills here in total already. That does mean that at this point, I don't think, yeah, Zerg really knows about anything. Right, he doesn't know about the fact that there are 2 immortals coming out at any given moment right now. Templar Archives is coming up, +1 melee is just about to finish. Charge is now also about 1/3 of the way done. This is likely gonna be a very big adept, or rather zealot, Archon Immortal based style. We're likely gonna see a gateway explosion here in just a little bit, and I wonder how easy this is going to be for our Zerg player to defend against. Even now the Storm upgrade will be coming up here as well for Hero. This is going to be a very powerful Protoss army, and Zerg currently does not look like they're going to go ahead and go up to, for example, a Hive or anything along those lines just yet. Just simply the good old Roach Hydra style. Now the creep spread is really getting out of hand though. Look at this, right? The creep spread is looking really solid. Already, it's crossed the halfway point, and that's mostly just because it started spreading from this very powerful point of the map. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing some creep up on the high ground here too. I actually think that's going to be really important. Hero, though, just simply sitting back for the time being, really allowing his opponent to just do whatever. We see that Lurker Den now coming up here for Rogue, so he's likely going to be transitioning towards that really macro-focused Zerg army. The thing is, though, already for the last couple of minutes, right, we've been seeing a lot of that chrono boost being spent here on Immortals, and if one thing is good against Lurkers, it's going to be that Archon Immortal army. And I really wonder how Hero is planning to deal with this kind of force, because I think he just simply has more than enough to try and deal with small amount of Lurkers here for the time being. Nice little bite of micro though. We'll be able to shade one of those adepts into that main base, scout out what it is that the Zerg player has got in store for us. He doesn't know about the Lurker Den just yet, and I don't know if he will, but Muscular Augments is just about to finish up, and apparently that will trigger a bit of a move out here for our Zerg player. Now the supply counts definitely aren't lying, but here we go. Great Psionic Storms immediately coming out here for our Protoss player. He will be able to get rid of some of that Zerg army. 9 drones though in total now that these Zealots made their way towards the gold base as well, while that Zerg army was occupied. There's no denying, right, that while the supply count is currently in favor here of the Zerg, it's also a little bit deceiving. I mean, a lot of that army is going to be caught up in roaches. They are not the most supply efficient units, and the longer that this goes on, right, Hero is just simply going to macro up a bigger and bigger army. He does need to be careful though. Definitely don't want to be caught out on the map against this massive Zerg force. Then again, this is a lot of Archons and Immortals. It's pretty much only Archons and Immortals. No Zealots as a follow-up just yet. A couple of them are trying to charge forward, but it's not nearly as many as you would imagine right now. Here we go though. The Lurkers are now out, and I think they will indeed force this Protoss army back for the time being. 8 more Lurkers are now also being morphed in. Rogue is gonna sit back on a very powerful defensive army. Still, this Protoss army is not going to slow down either. A couple of the Oracles will now also be joining in here as well, as Protoss is trying to close the distance and try to out-position a lot of this Zerg army. Once again, those solid psionic storms do go down. We see the Revelation right on top of all of those Lurkers. A lot of the Archons are now also dealing with the Roaches and Hydras, and I think that this hatchery will not be able to live for all too much longer. Still, this is such a scary move, right? We've all seen that Zerg army swoop around, you know, a 360 degree, you know, engagement. It's very difficult for a Zerg player to do that, but we've all seen it happen. Once again, though, so much value coming just simply out of all of these Immortals. I think that the double Robo army is just simply a little bit too powerful, as somehow, some way, Hero stomps through this Zerg force, and even though we saw a very solid play there by Rogue, economically speaking, right, apparently Hero was not all too phased about it. He looked at that army composition, he knew that Rogue would be going for Roaches, Hydras, and then also Lurkers, and he figured that the one way you deal with that is just by simply making about 10 or so Immortals, and then you move across the map with Storm and some Archons for reinforcements. I'm quite surprised, though, that he didn't just simply bring a War Prism and reinforce that army with a lot more Zealots as well. I expected a Gateway explosion maybe a little while earlier into the game, but this does mean that Hero is the one who obtains victory here in game number 1. I gotta say though, I love how calm and collected Hero approached that previous game. I mean, if I was the Protoss player, right, on Neon Violet Square, I probably would have freaked out when I saw my Zerg opponent take that greedy of a gold base. I mean, it's very easy to just simply box all of your unit together and then try your very best to go for the kill almost immediately. I probably would have tried to go after those drones at the gold base a little bit more aggressively, but apparently Hero, staying calm and collected, he knew exactly what it was that he needed to do there against his Zerg opponent, and he just simply thought about the mid game, realized it was going to be very Roach, Hydra, Lurker heavy, and he decided that all he really needed to do was make a bunch of Immortals and move across the map. Very clean game there. Now once again, Hero, being a bit of a nuisance, manages to get that hatchery block here on Catalyst Alley. This is indeed going to be the second map of this best of 3 series, and rather than actually Rogue going for the third base here, right, which is the gold standard when your hatchery does get blocked, he's decided to go for the spawning pool and then also the extractor almost immediately. Now, this doesn't really change the economic situation of this game that much. It mostly just slows down the natural expansion here for a little while longer. This, of course, does help him get that tech out a little bit quicker. You get your Zergling speed out just a little bit faster, and this definitely does not mean that the Zerg player has to play super aggressive, although that option is most definitely there. Nice little bit of micro though by Rogue. He does manage to eventually get that hatchery up there on the low ground as well. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we see the Nexus coming up here for our Protoss player. He's now getting himself that gateway as well as the cybernetic score. Probe still trying to be a bit of a nuisance here inside of that main base that apparently stole some of those Zerg minerals as well. He's going to bring those back home as well. Metabolic boost gets started here, but the drones are left into that gas geyser. Hero needs to know about this. Usually this could mean one of two things, okay? It could be Pneumatized Carapace or indeed a Roach Warren. Pneumatized Carapace, the Overlord speed, it is if you want to go for heavy scouting. I would be very surprised if indeed Rogue would go for something along those lines. Instead, we see the Roach Warren coming up, so that means that Rogue is planning to play extremely aggressively. And so far, This is completely unscouted by Hero. He obviously knows that there's not going to be a super quick third hatchery here just yet for Rogue, so there's that information here as well. There's now also that Warp Gate upgrade coming out a little bit faster, so no Stargate play this time around here for Hero, or at the very least it's not going to be the fastest possible Stargate. Instead, he's allowing these Zerglings in there. Look at this. He's inviting the Zerglings into his home. I love that, right? He knows that link speed won't be done yet, does manage to get the kill there, but the robotics facility now also gets started up. Very interesting decision making here by Hero. I mean, it almost looks as if he knows about what is coming his way. He didn't scout that the drones were remaining in the gas, and he also didn't scout the Roach Warren, but somehow, some way, Hero seems to be aware of what it is that he's going up against. I mean, he's going, yeah, look at this. He's going for the sentry. He is now getting himself that robotics facility, even saving up some chrono boost in the main. I think he knows what it is he's going up against. Even though he hasn't really scouted, his game senses are tingling right now, right? His spidey senses are going to town. The Shade will be able to allow that unit into the base, but apparently, even though a couple more Zerglings managed to sneak in there, the robotics facility finishes up and immediately we see the chrono boost on the Immortal. This is exactly the way you need to defend against an aggressive Zerg player. Keep in mind, Zerg is investing a ton of economy here. Protoss is almost doubling that economy right now of the Protoss player. That does mean, or rather of the Zerg player, that does mean that, oh my god, that force field has to be perfect. The defense so far is extremely solid. This is looking like it is textbook style when it comes to defending against an aggressive Zerg opener. The Ravager is desperately trying to land as many balls as possible, but here is the Immortal. The Immortal immediately target firing down as many of these Zerg units as possible. The shield batteries are keeping so many of those units alive as well. Immortal decides to hit against one of those. Oh my god, this is beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm actually very curious though, what it was that Hero saw here. Let us actually jump back into the replay for just a little bit. What exactly? By the way, in case you missed it, Hero is the one who ended up winning this series in a 2-0 fashion against the Zerg. Now, I just want to double check. So right around here, right? 100 gas is mined right at this point here for our Zerg player. Now, I guess that Hero kind of saw that drones, well, one drone was pulled out of the gas there, right? I'm really curious what he saw here that made him go for such a defensive style. Right, Hero goes back around. I don't think he swoops towards that gas, though. Pretty sure he doesn't. No, look at that. You will see the timing right here of the Zerglings. But apparently, maybe he's just playing, rather safe than sorry. Obviously, we do have to keep in mind that these kind of players do face off against each other very regularly. So maybe he knows that this is something that Rogue likes to do. But it's definitely not a guarantee, so to say, right? That your opponent is gonna go for that Roach Warren very early on. When they get their natural denied, then they go for the gas and then also the spawning pool immediately. It seems like Hero knew exactly what it was that he was going up against. This is such a cute move, though. Just simply allowing these links to move up there, knowing the timing of the link speed finish. It's kind of cool. He also never really scouted the third base location here of our Zerg player. Maybe this Adepts kind of scouts something? Yeah, okay, so that must have been a dead giveaway, right? That single Adept, the shade of the Adept there, saw just the tail end of one of those roaches. So I think that may very well have triggered immediately the defense. Already though, I like the fact that he decided to go for the robotics facility play. It's not the gold standard right now, but already, he, even though he put 2 pylons in the wall there, right, he knew exactly what it was that he needed to do to try and defend against this. Shield batteries are coming up almost instantaneously. Robotics facility will start chrono boosting out those Immortals, and this was one of the cleanest defenses that I have ever seen. And this is what Hero is so very good at and what makes him such a scary player. He's just very good at scouting with minimal amounts of units, and he usually gains a lot of information by just simply using the shades and then also the Protoss probes when he's sending them out across the map, knowing very well when the timings and upgrades and whatnot should finish for the Zerg, and it allows him to get away with minimal amounts of units initially, really focus on that economy and that tech, and then as soon as he recognizes what it is he's going up against, he starts making a ton of stuff that's required to defend against these kind of units. Really well done there by Hero. Well-deserved victory against the world champion of StarCraft right now. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.